This evidence demonstrates, and it's through eyewitness testimony that's been corroborated by others through their eyewitness statements, that 130,000 to 280,000 completed ballots for the 2020 general election were shipped from Bethpage, New York to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where those ballots and the trailer in which they were shipped disappeared.
I wonder if some of those ballots might have ended up in Michigan. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. And today we're going to be doing part 2 on the Michigan 2020 election in Detroit and information that's coming out about that. And we got a video of Steve Bannon doing an interview with Jim Hoff and Patty Murray.
So if you guys remember, believe his name was Jesse Morgan, was the truck driver from New York to Pennsylvania, whose trailer mysteriously disappeared. That was the opening video. We all remember that. Let's dig into this next section. We would greatly appreciate if you would subscribe and if you would like and share this out to everyone.
The lessons here, folks, for your agency is that, Caroline Jeffers and Garland Favorito and Sally Grubbs and Jason Frazier and all these heroes and patriots, Harry McDougal, all of them in Georgia have been working and have not quit in 6 years. The lesson for Michigan is the Gateway Pundit and Patty Murray and now 200 volunteers are not going to quit. This is this kind of American cussedness. They know this thing was stolen and they're not going to quit. And the mainstream media is against them. All the big money in the Democratic Party, the Republican establishment wants to. Have you gotten any help from the Republican establishment in Michigan on your journey, Patty?
I will say that we have an incredible election integrity chair in the state legislature, Representative Rochelle Smith, and she's been very receptive to our information. We've been sharing our findings with her, and they have been insisting that the government do more to help us in Michigan with the findings that we've put forward on the Gateway Pundit. I just want to mention, check my vote.
I'm going to go ahead and answer that. Not really. Some people have gotten involved that's part of the Republican Party, but when it comes to, I'll say, establishment Republican Party, RNC, not really. They're not really caring about this. As a matter of fact, if you look at people like Rafflesberger and other Republicans, even in Michigan, actually facilitated it and helped the Democrats do the fraud.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the reality here. There is a certain amount of the swamp in all these states, and they just want the tax money to keep on rolling. They didn't want to get rid of USAID. They don't want things to change because, of course, they're stealing from you and I.
It's an incredible organization that was founded by, at the time, a non-American citizen who has recently become an American citizen, Fani Mantravati, is really the key figures in this investigation. And I did put up a Give, Send, Go on the article that I wrote yesterday, because we are looking for help to fund this project, because it's an enormously large project that requires a lot of people, experts that are taking time away from their day jobs. This is an all volunteer project at this point. So we are looking for some help with this project because it's massive. It's a massive undertaking. And our goal is to complete this project before the next election, because, as you know, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson is running as the Democrat candidate for governor in Michigan, and she will be facilitating her own election.
Real quickly,
so
I want
we need to take care of this.
Patty, any other things that the audience should have top of mind that you found, ma'am?
Yeah, I also wanted to point out that we have of the ballots that we've gone through so far. We've gone through 84,000 of them. 36% of those ballot envelopes that we've gone through have been dated by the voter and received by the city clerk on the same day. I want to remind everybody that these ballots were being mailed out during COVID, and Senator Gary Peters was making a lot of.
That's suspicious.
Yeah.
That ain't how the mail works.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever sent a letter that got there the same day?
No.
Never even heard of it.
Noise at that time because he was furious that the Detroit post office was so slow.
That that's really crazy, especially in a city the size of Detroit. There's no way a letter would get there in the same day. No way. I mean, I had to think about it, put my head around it after we commented the first time. There's no way. Not in Detroit.
And it's 36%, Matt. It's not a little insignificant number.
That's a physical impossibility. So what you're saying is 36%
Absolutely.
of the ones you found already are can't be certified or non-certifiable, correct?
Well, it's an interesting, probably completely non-possible fact that we've discovered.
Yeah.
It looks like just a ridiculous
Yeah.
statistic.
There's
36%
there's
during
so-
COVID
there's
is
so much-
ridiculous.
There's so much more that's going to come out. We'll get to all that later. I got Garland Favre is going to join us here in a moment. Do you believe you have the same level of evidence, let's call it, that Cash Patel, the ballots, the tapes, everything that Georgia had to raise? Do you believe you were able to get it through these FOIA requests, that you have the equivalent of what Georgia's got, and now the federal government that they're fighting in court, that the traitors and crooks down in Georgia and Fulton County are fighting in court to get back, ma'am?
Yes, we do. We have almost 1 million documents. We have hard copies that are in storage, and we also have digital files that our volunteers are working with and that we're working with currently. But yes, we do have what Georgia has.
Patty Murray, where do people go? I know there's going to be.
That's why it's important for some of this information, or all of it, after they're finished doing their investigation, gets to the White House, gets to the federal government. So Tulsi Gabbard can investigate it, as well as investigate what's going on with Georgia and those machines that she got from Puerto Rico, because this will give you a bigger picture of how big this really is and who everybody that was involved in it.
Yeah, to hear that Jocelyn Benson is going to be overseeing her own election coming up in 2026, like, we got to get this fixed. We need the right volunteers with the right skill sets, because to go into another election cycle where the Democrats are going to cheat, no.
Well, it reminds you of Katie Hobbs running for governor when she was the Secretary of State. In my opinion, when something like that happens, also Republicans do that all the time too. I think that needs to stop. I think what needs to happen is they have to actually excuse themselves, not run it, and someone else has to do it in order to make sure it's fair for the opponent they're facing, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, it doesn't matter.
That's right. The appearance of impropriety is impropriety.
Extreme interest now coming off this hit. Where do people go to find out more about your work or what you're doing in Michigan right now?
They can find my work at the Gateway Pundit, because I'll be posting all articles exclusively, all of our findings on the Gateway Pundit. And also, I'm on Twitter at Patty Loves Truth.
Fabulous job, Patty.
There it is.
I have this memory from election the day after, of them covering all the windows up and thinking to myself, like, how can they just cover the windows up? We can't see names. We can't see any voter information. We could just see who's working where, and only a little bit at that from the front of the windows. But they were cheating so badly that they couldn't leave the windows open, because Matt and I think they were recounting the same ballots over and over and over. Trump crushed it in 2020. He won that election by a lot in Michigan, but they brought enough fraud.
The thing is, you would have saw the same thing in Georgia, them covering up the windows, if there was windows. What they did was just throw everybody out and saying there was a sewage leak or whatever it was, and decided to start doing it after that, even though they weren't allowed to start counting again.
Good
And
point.
then in Michigan, what they did was like this: you know what? Let's just throw all the Republicans out, and then we'll cover the windows, and then we'll start recounting ballots and add it to the actual count instead of getting new ballots in order to perpetuate the fraud. Now, guys, this is all just theory, but that's what it looks like to me. It makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of stuff that happened in Michigan that we know happened in Georgia, and that's the reason we compared the two, because they're very similar.
Yeah, and like I said before, we cannot go into another election cycle with, cheating house rules. And that's what the Democrats are doing, even in Republican states in the big blue cities. That can decide an election. And we just can't tolerate it anymore. Cheating cannot be tolerated.
All right, guys, this is the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed. Please hit that like button, comment, and share this out to everybody.
Thanks for being here.